You know, when we all came to the Gaylord today, we were shocked, right, how many people were here and all the events going on, right? And what I said to Chris, next time they'll all be at our event, right? Yes. But more importantly, they're at events that believe in our business. They believe in network marketing. They believe in direct sales. They believe in what we're doing, which is also a testament to what today's all about, right? And what is all about today? Right? It's really about change. Why do people come to these events? Why do they come to these meetings? They want to see if there's a change in the product line, change in the compensation plan, change in ourselves, right? In some ways, that's how the success will be measured by this weekend, by whether you're a person who either embraces change or is resistant to change. If you had to define yourself, which category do you think you're in? Who else? If you notice the first slide, you can go back to the first slide for a second. Notice the first one. Notice the word change is on a yellow sign warning, right? Because the truth is, we're all afraid of it. It's much easier to do what we know how to do better than to do something different. Different is scary. We don't know what to do. Go back to the third slide. How many people came here this weekend thinking they were just going to learn how to do it better? How many of us really are ready to do it differently? I want you to know that doing things differently is really on a grand stage. Go to the next slide. I want to show you some companies who couldn't figure out how to do it differently, and some famous ones at that. How many of us remember Kodak? And how many of us had a Kodak moment, right? Well, Kodak had its own moment. They had a guy who worked for them, wasn't even a vice president, some guy who worked in the R&D department, and his name was Steve, and he invented the digital camera. And they said to him, you know what? Great idea, Steve, but that'll really hurt our film sales. So why don't you just sit on that? 2 years later, another Steve came up with the same idea, and he used that to invent the digital phone and the iPhone. 10 years later, Kodak declared bankruptcy. Resistant to change or embrace it? Next slide. How many of us even remember what a typewriter is? Right? Well, Remington typewriter in 1975 had 89% of the market of every single typewriter sold. That same year, a small company called IBM came out with an electric typewriter, a word processor. 10 years later, Remington, out of business. Next example. To show you how hard change is, just because you do it once doesn't mean you can do it again. It's something that you have to be on your guard every single moment of every single day when you're experiencing and making decisions. So IBM had a famous conversation with a guy here in Texas named Ross Perot. And Ross said to them, you know, hardware is a tough business. The future's in software. They said, thanks, Ross. And then they fired him. He opened up EDS, became one of the most successful software entrepreneurs in the world, ended up running for president. And he also inspired a guy named Bill Gates to build Microsoft. So does that mean Microsoft always has the right answer? Let's go to the next slide. So Microsoft focused only on software, while a company named Apple comes along and focuses on the greatest hardware technology in the industry with the iPhone and the Mac. So one day you may be the innovator, one day you may be the embracer, and the next day you're the resistor. Let's get a little closer to home. Let's get a little closer to our business. We all know that retail sales has gone through a dramatic change starting around 2015. Does anyone know how much of a percentage online sales are out of all the sales that happen in the US? Online sales versus physical retail sales is only 15% of all sales. Yet look how disruptive it is. A few percentage points literally puts stores out of business. This is my most famous example of people who better be aware about what change is happening. This is one of the largest shopping malls in Ohio in 2016, a week before Christmas. 1 year later, next slide. 1 year. 1 year after that, it was an Amazon warehouse. That's how much. Now, Amazon, out of that 15%, only represents half of that. One company that represents 7% of all the online sales has disrupted an entire world. Next slide. Here's a very personal example about how one company dealt with Amazon and one didn't. Everyone knows Best Buy, right? Do you remember Circuit City? Right? They were like the sister company, right? They looked the same, they sold the same things, right? So when Amazon got into electronic sales, what people did is they went to Best Buy and they went to Circuit City and they shopped because they wanted to touch the product, they wanted to see the TV, they wanted to play with the computer. Then they'd go online and just shop the cheapest price. So how did these two retail stores attack the same problem? Best Buy said, you know what we'll do? We'll match any Amazon price. So there's no reason to go home. The only reason to go home and check the price is to tell us how cheap we should charge you. Circuit City didn't respond. Circuit City, which was bigger than Best Buy at the time, 3 years later, Chapter 11. Embrace change, resist change. Now Best Buy is actually one of Amazon's biggest competitors online, not just at the retail level. Next slide. So why should you care about this lecture on Amazon, right? Because when you realize that they did $469 billion sales, yes, we can give them a standing ovation and applaud, but why do we care? Because half of those sales came from people who could have chosen to do a network marketing company instead. Think about that. You think you're competing against Lavelle or Herbalife, New Skin, or the new startup on the block? There's your competition for the independent contractor who wants to have his own business and change his own life. Is that your only competitor to this world? Next slide. Look at Shopify. Unlike Amazon, 100% of all of Shopify's sales come from people who could have been a network marketer. $175 billion last year. And I bet some of them are your kids. Some of them are your nephews and your nieces. Some of them are your neighbors. Just remember, 10 years ago, they didn't have these alternative income opportunities. We were the only game in town. There was no Uber, there was no Airbnb, there was no Etsy, right? There wasn't all of these startups that require no money, companies that get people the customers and all they have to do is show up and service them. Next slide. So do you think Shopify and Amazon have it all together? Guess who's coming for them? Look at Facebook. Only a few short years ago, they introduced the Facebook Marketplace and Facebook Shops. From just January to March of this year, these aren't old statistics, right? 1 million customers went to go visit those shops and Marketplace. Just on January, February, March. And here's the bigger number for us. 250 million people have a Facebook shop or put products on a marketplace who could have been a network marketer. Now mind you, some of these people are network marketers too, right? But if you don't know this, if you don't know that this change is happening, not just when you go into a shopping mall or go to purchase something online, but that the people who have an opportunity to sell through those distribution channels are your neighbors, are your friends, then when you're talking to them about our business, you have to know this is the business that they're thinking about. This is why they may say no. Next slide. So, what's the future? For us, what's the future for them? What door has Facebook opened up that keeps this evolution and revolution going? So here's a typical website. This could be your website with our products on it, right? And notice on the bottom is our shopping catalog. So imagine when you wake up in the morning, not having to spend an all-day Saturday training with me on how to be a technology expert, but that you would literally just push a button in your FITTEAM back office, and all of a sudden you'll see that you don't just have your products on a website anymore. Next slide. But you'll also have it on Facebook. And when someone clicks on that picture and that image on Facebook, which again, technically, I want you to know, you don't have to be trained. Just the customer has to be trained to buy it, because we do it all for you. It's going to track and pay your commissions. You don't have to upload the pictures. You don't have to worry with the prices. Just the way the company set up your shopping cart, which will be a new shopping cart too, we're going to do your Facebook page. If you can push a button, you can have that. And maybe if Instagram allows it, you can also have the same shop on Instagram. Maybe your neighbors love Pinterest. Maybe your kids love Snapchat. Maybe your friends overseas like WhatsApp. Whatever social media channel, whatever e-commerce market where your friends currently are, you can have a shopping cart at the touch of a button. You will have one of the first, what we call, a sell anywhere platform, a unified e-commerce platform that can happen anywhere, anytime at the touch of a button. In fact, you'll be able to create a shopping cart where one doesn't even exist. Let's say you have a friend who's a personal trainer, and they have a blog site with 3,000 or 4,000 followers, and people believe them. They don't have an e-commerce site. They talk about health, nutrition. What if you can put one product from your shopping catalog, literally at the touch of a button, goes on their blog. When someone reads their blog, they have an image of your product, click the button, we pay and track your commissions as if they bought it right off the website. No change, no difference. Next slide. This is what's going to be in your back office. Where it says learn more, it's going to be a button that says activate. That's how simple we're going to make this. This is going to be yours. We're targeting around June. Now we are going to train you and teach you. But you know what's really important? Not that you become internet marketers. That's not my goal. But we will teach you and train you how to talk about it to your 19-year-old son, to your nephew, to your niece, to your neighbor. Just the way guys can talk about sports all day long, but yet they can't play. You can talk about shopping carts that you don't use, but that other people do. So I don't want you to be afraid of, I've got to learn this whole new skill set. The reason you're here in this room today is because you're very skilled at knowing how to talk to somebody. That's what got you in the room. Sometimes you have scripts, sometimes you have PowerPoints, but you're the people who kind of put that aside and said, I got this. I can do this on my own. I know how to talk to my friends. I know how to talk to my family. That's what we're going to teach you and train you how to do. To give you this background, to give you this, so when somebody says to you, hey, I've got a Shopify site, I'm not interested. You're not going to go, well, thanks. You know, let me show you something. What if I can give you the tools that you have on Shopify, except I'm going to give you our great company's products, our great company's compensation plan, our great companies that you can take all these other places besides one website. See, the thing about Shopify and Amazon, what a lot of people don't understand, is they think that if you just have a lot less clicks and a great shopping cart, sales are going to go up. Right? Now, they will improve, right? But the truth is, it's a three-legged stool, Shopify and Amazon, for the younger people. Right? It's the marketing tools that drive people to those websites, which is why they join. It's the reporting and data that they get that those tools drive them to. So in your back office, even though you may not use it, there's going to be this ability to sell anywhere. There's this ability for people who know how to do it, who are using those other sites, to market anywhere they're selling. And then there's an ability for everyone, including you, to get the data of all the selling that they're doing. So our goal, again, is not to change who you are, right? But change the way you think. Change the way you think about network marketing. Change the way you think about Shopify and Amazon. They're not the enemies. They're actually training an army of people for you who are going to end up doing your business. So on one hand, we're going to have that change with that yellow sign, warning, right? We're going down two roads. We're going to give you, or more importantly, give you to give to other people, that back office that looks and feels like Shopify and Amazon and does all the things that those sites do so you can get those people into the business. And the other big change that's happened in retail, online and offline, over the past 20 years, that we didn't even notice, was customer reward programs. I made this joke to Chris at dinner the other night. You know, the old joke, two guys walk into a bar, blah, blah, blah. But I'm saying if a customer and a salesman walk into a bar, the network marketer has a whole plan for the salesman, right? The bar owner has a plan for the customer to go buy a drink. So this idea that we're so focused on motivating salespeople as opposed to motivating customers has just made your job harder. I mean, if I said to you, if you sold $1,000 worth of product, we would give you a bonus of $10,000. What do you think would happen quicker? If I said to a customer, I'll give you $10,000 worth of products that you consider valuable for $1,000, or I'll tell a salesman if he sells 1,000, I'll give him a $10,000 commission. Who do you think is going to happen faster? So why as an industry has our compensation plans only looked at the distributor, at the brand partner? We've ignored the customer. Not unique to FITTEAM, unique to an entire industry. So look at other industries that haven't, right? Next slide. Last year, $175 billion was paid out to customers in rewards. Remember the granddaddy of all of it was American Airlines, right, with buying points? We didn't look at the price anymore, we looked at the points. Double points, triple points, quadruple points. They literally changed an entire industry, right? Next one. Remember a few years ago, we were worried about that Macy's was going to go Chapter 11. We were worrying whether retail department stores were a dinosaur. In fact, they hired the guy who ran Apple's stores at JCPenney to try to save it. And he didn't make it. Macy's starts their compensation plan by paying customers to go shopping. How cool is that? How, what Chris said earlier, how simple is that? You shop with us, we're going to put money on your account to go shopping, just for saying hello. When you make a purchase, like Macy's, we put more money on your account to go shopping the next time. If you tell a friend, Macy's doesn't do this, by the way, only we do this, we'll pay you cash rewards just as if you shop yourself. Pretty easy to say, pretty easy to remember, pretty easy to talk about. And it's not only Macy's that does this, right? Look at the Gap. Does that look as complicated as our compensation plan to distributors? That's a compensation plan for customers. Do you know GNC does this? Saks Fifth Avenue does this. Every single person, online and offline, in retail, pays their customers to shop, except network marketing companies. Sometimes change isn't that clever, right? You just kind of look at it and notice it, embrace it. The biggest mistake that network marketing companies make, traditionally, is we do look down the hall. We do look at what our competitors are doing because we don't know who our competitors are. So, what did Herbalife come out with? What did Lavelle come out with? We have to have a program that matches that. No, we missed the mark. Retail stole the best of what network marketing does, embraced it deeper by starting their compensation plan at the customer level. Next one. So what if something like this was on your site? We're not explaining, we're not asking them to sign up as affiliates yet. We're not asking them to sign up as brand ambassadors, brand partners, distributors. They're not giving us their social security number. All they have to do is shop. And we'll put money on their account. If they become a VIP customer, why do they want to do that? We want to do that because that's a requirement to be on auto ship. We double the rewards. Pretty easy to see a reward when it doubles. Are we going to take money out of your pocket to do this? Are we changing the compensation plan? No. In fact, based on the conversation that Chris and I had at dinner, I think we're going to end up paying you a little more. We're actually probably going to increase it. So this is what you're going to be armed with. You're not going to be armed with a new way to sign up a brand partner. You're going to be armed with a new customer story, which will attract brand partners. Imagine this crazy idea of viral activity happening from the bottom up instead of the top down. That was really the essence, right, of what network marketing is supposed to be. Something that was available to all. And what happened over the past several years, which I wouldn't say it's our downfall, but what made us stall, was we made it for a select few. So when I look at other companies' compensation plans, there's so many gotchas in there, so many people don't get paid, so the money all rolls up to just a handful of people who get big checks. Those days have to be gone. Uber taught us that. People will work 5 times as hard for 5 times less money if they at least know they're going to get paid. So today's a lot, right? Some of you will go immediately after this phone call and want every single detail. And you'll feel paralyzed until you understand it. And some of you feel like you can go in the hallway and sell them next door on this. Because the devil is not in the details. The success, the embracement is in the concept. Details can always be adjusted. You can learn them at their own pace. But when you have an idea, ideas are shared in bumper stickers. Right? They're shared in billboards. They're not shared in explanations of details. So either from this entire weekend today, and you guys have made such a tremendous effort to be here, and really, you're already successful for having made that choice. I can tell you, having worked with over 200 companies in my career, these are the people that showed up today that are going to build this future. So today, I want you, when you leave here today, if somebody says, what happened this weekend? You should say to somebody, you know what? I decided to embrace change. Change for our company, change for my family, change for me. And I have to focus on what do I have to do to execute that change, or you're going to be this. Thank you very much, everybody.